Hello, everyone. Welcome to Illuminating Astrology. Can astrology help us carve our path to success, whether that's a business launch, a job interview, or an important meeting, or even a YouTube upload? Astrology has a way to help us optimize our chances. This is called electional astrology. And in today's video, I want to focus on electional astrology, the art of choosing most optimal, favorable times for success. By success in this particular video, I mean publicity, visibility, sometimes popularity, but basically becoming accomplished in a professional sense. And in today's video, I want to share with you a few basic principles, important principles for such elections, and a few examples, difficult, positive elections, as well as what gave inspiration for this video. A recent request from one of my clients. She requested that I elect a chart for an important public announcement to attract attention to her product. So we're going to cover all of this. So this will be a fairly technical video, but I think if you're a beginner astrologer or curious, you will also be able to understand what I'm talking about. My name is Elena Lumen, and this is a channel devoted to the blend of practical, spiritual, and educational astrology. Welcome, and let's start our discussion. When we start working with elections, there are a few important elements that we have to keep in mind. First of all, there are no perfect times in charts. We work with what is available. There are time constraints and whatever is available in the sky, and we try to choose the best. Second one, we ideally would like to have a connection between electional chart and natal chart, because electional chart, if it's not connected with the natal chart, it remains more general, more generic. It cannot override the promise of our natal chart. It can only improve something a little bit. However, if we can use our natal chart and capitalize on something positive in the natal chart, that makes the election more powerful, more potent. And the third principle, which you will see just now in the example, is basically that there are three elements that we need to emphasize in the chart, meaning to make them positive, to make them strong, according to the rules of astrology. And that's the ascendant, representing the person who is doing something. It's the house that we're working with in this particular video. It's the 10th house and the moon, because the moon shows the flow of the situation, how things will unfold. If you look at those three principles and make them positive, generally, you will ensure a more successful election. Let's take a look at a few examples. In this scenario, a business lady wanted to start a publishing company and publish fashion magazines in particular. And she gave astrology a very short amount of time. And let's see what election reveals. The ascendant, representing Our Lady, is Sagittarius, and we find that Lord of the ascendant, ruler of the ascendant, is Jupiter, retrograde in Gemini. So from the first point, we see that her significator is weakened. Retrograde suggests she may be changing her direction a few times. She's uncertain of her final goal. And Jupiter being in detriment suggests she doesn't have a clear plan. Many ideas are on her mind, many approaches are on her mind. Jupiter is also in the seventh house. So she had a partner and she was very focused on making it work with her partner. So she didn't have a straightforward plan or competency or knowledge at the time to make her business successful. Business or success would be the 10th house. Here we find Venus in Libra, part of fortune in Libra. Very nice. It should appeal to the public, it should appeal to women. So that's a positive factor, and Venus is trining Jupiter. But is this enough? In order to judge if that's enough for success, we need also to look at the moon and some other considerations. But let's look at the moon. The moon is waning in this chart. She is applying to the sun, but the sun is in the 12th dark house. So it's sun usually can help with publicity, with success, but it should be positioned in the favorable house. Here, it doesn't help much. The moon, in addition, is squaring Jupiter, the owner in our case. Also, the moon is applying to a square of Mars in the first house. These are weak and not very strong positions for the moon. In addition, the moon was intercepted. So the moon does not support the testimonies, does not connect the significators to help her wish. Finally, as a cherry on the cake, the somewhat negative example, we can look at public. The public is represented by Mercury. Mercury is also retrograde, is in detriment, and it is moving to an opposition with Jupiter. So it's as if public and the business owner do not click, they don't see each other, they don't discover each other, they don't harmonize with each other, to say it simply. In addition, both Mercury and Jupiter associate with publishing and they are debilitated. So, by many accounts, that's a negative chart. The only positive in it is Venus in the 10th house, but that's not enough. So, in reality, she invested quite a bit of money in this project. It was going on for about a year and a half, but it didn't generate enough interest, it didn't generate enough income, and eventually collapsed. So, she had to close the business. So, here we see how afflictions to the ruler of the ascendant, afflictions to the moon are not helpful enough. Strong 10th house is here, but it's not enough to compensate for this other two. Let's consider a second example, which was a successful election for a music album release. The most important considerations for success, we always want the moon and the sun, or the moon and Jupiter, to be strong in the charts where we want publicity, connection. And here we don't have the Jupiter strong, but the moon is trining the sun. That's positive. In addition, we want the Lord of the Ascendant, as I said earlier, to be positive, and we find her ruler in the 11th house in exaltation. So she's attractive to the groups of people. Her music is beautiful. What she created, she is an artist, is beautiful for the public. That's really positive. What is not so great here, Saturn is also here representing the 10th house, the career. They are not yet in an aspect, but it can suggest it brings some burdens on her or she has to fulfill some obligations. But this is not a denial of her stronger positions. What about the public? It's shown by 7th house. We find Mars retrograding in Cancer in opposition with Pluto and MC. So that's not an amazing aspect, but stronger factors here are the moon trine the sun, the moon also sextiling Venus. Venus is extremely well placed. And even the fact that Venus is moving to Saturn with the reception is also positive. So this was a huge success. She released her album. It was immediately sold out, practically immediately. I don't think she had any difficulties with the public. Public loved it. And the only thing she said that she was overwhelmed by this experience because this outpouring of liking, love was a little overwhelming. But generally, it was a greatly successful first launch. In the first example, I do not have the natal chart of the client. That was just an example I had in my files. But in this one, I have a natal chart of a person, and I can show you how the election is rooted in her natal chart. The chart is rooted in her natal chart because the Taurus energy falls on her natal sun in Taurus, the moon, ascendant, and Venus in Pisces trines beautifully her Jupiter in Cancer. There were some other connections. So this election roots in itself is good and also connects positively to her natal chart. And it was a success. So with that in mind, let's take a look ahead as my third example for today, a chart I'm going to elect right now for one of my clients who wishes a moment for publicity. She wants to make an important announcement which would attract interest to her. This will be about her show. She wants to eventually have a show and she wants people to know about it. So for publicity, we need to find first a favorable day in general. I'm going to look for connections between the moon and the sun or the moon and the Jupiter, and then I'm going to connect it with her natal chart. So I looked for the entire month of September and October. There are not a lot of good choices, but here's one decent day, although not perfect. But for publicity, I like the moon connecting with Jupiter in the 10th house. It shows her to the public as her authentic self, attracts to her warmth, gives a sense of confidence and exposure. And she is shown by Venus and Libra that suggest balanced individual, elegant individual, appealing to the public as well. So these are the strong points. And the third strong point, Sun, Mercury is connecting to her natal chart, her natal Virgo. She has natal Virgo rising. So that's positive for her, even though they're not connected with Venus or with the moon. Not so strong in this chart, but less important, is that public is represented by Mars, ruler of the seventh house, and it doesn't have any strong connection with the client. But the moon Jupiter should still help her out to bring the publicity. Also, we would like ideally to have a connection between the first house and the 10th. There's no connection here, but this is just an announcement. So for the public appeal, that should be sufficient. So that's my first candidate. Another possibility is September 17th. I make her Sagittarius rising, so Jupiter is in Leo in the ninth house, which is okay for exposure, though it's a Caden home. We have angular sun, always helpful for publicity, and the moon connects with the sun, but by a square. Public would be represented by Mercury, so it's in the 11th house. There is a positive connection between public and her. Not an amazing chart, but it does give her some exposure and favorable connection with the public. So that's my choice number 2. And choice number 3. Number 3 would be the moon in Capricorn. The moon is in debility, which is undesirable, but it will be trining the sun. It connects with her natal chart. Again, Jupiter and Mercury, her and the public are connected by a sextile. Jupiter is decent in the ninth house, where it has accidental dignity. So none of the charts are amazing, but some positives. I think I'm going to give her all 3 choices. Myself, I prefer the first one with the moon connection with Jupiter on September 8th. So these are my examples for today. The takeaways, there are no perfect charts. When you are doing those charts, do the best that you can. Try to connect with your natal chart with the planets which are stronger in your natal chart, especially those connected to your 10th house. And in doing election, pay attention to Ascendant, to the moon, to the 10th house for success. Jupiter and the sun are always important for public exposure, for success. So these are my thoughts about those elections. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions or comments, what do you think about those charts? If you're new to my channel and you're interested in techniques, traditional astrology, please subscribe, like, comment, because this allows my videos to be distributed to the audience who is interested in them. My next video will be on the month of September, the electional astrology and general overview of the month of September. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you very soon.